Can I have your attention, please? If everybody could take your seats, we're going to go ahead and get started with the raffle drawing.
They're ready for this. Look at that. Quiet.
Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is draw two sweet tickets to any Houston Rockets game based on availability.
Okay. Drawing. Let's see. Now we have to be able to read the name.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, this one does not have a name. Okay, so is the person that has the ending 8 here? 648? No.
I need to give people a second to find tickets.
Oh yeah, guys, get your tickets out. Be ready for this.
Yeah, come on. These are great prizes.
No, I don't know if there's anyone that has that. Okay, I'm going to draw another one. Going once, going twice, 648. 648. Yes? Okay, check yours. No, okay, that one. We're going to wait for Diane to look at her tickets, and then I'll be ready for the next one.
Martin's having anxiety.
Come here, come here.
Was,
No. Yeah. Okay, next.
okay.
The total?
648. 648. Melody? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. That's what she's here. Let's do it. Yay, Melody.
It's like the comedy show up here, guys.
Yes. So we got a certificate for Melody with Galveston.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Congratulations.
Okay.
Now we're doing a drawing for 4 sweet tickets to the Dallas Mavericks or the Dallas Stars game based on availability.
Okay, we're doing another number here. 609. 609. No.
Okay, let's go again.
This is like really anticlimactic.
Yeah, it is. Wait, is there a name on the back?
No. 607.
Oh, must be the same person.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to find. I wish there was ones with names. Some people put names on it, which was awesome.
Ooh,
Oh, here we go. Mike. How do you read that? How do you say that?
Pistiana?
Okay, yes. Okay,
You don't look
sweet.
like Mike.
Okay, got it.
All right, and it's this one?
There we go. Congratulations.
Okay.
All right. What's those 2 concerts?
Okay, go ahead. You read the prize.
Okay, this is 2 concert tickets to Billy Bob's Fort Worth, Texas. Winner's choice of concert based on availability.
No number, no name. Okay, 619. No way! Oh my God. Okay, it's your lucky day. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a lottery ticket. Okay.
Last
Okay.
one.
All right.
The last one is 1 complimentary registration to the 2024 Marketing Outlook Forum.
So you get to go next year for free. 642. Nice. Okay.
Yay!
And then we're doing this one, right?
But we're going to give a total.
Yeah. What is the total? Okay. Okay, and just to share some good news, we raised $5,000 for the Periwinkle Foundation charity. So great job, everyone. And you're up.
Ooh, I like having microphones. So Martin is our keynote speaker. He's very anxious that we are starting 24 minutes late. He's German, so I don't know if you guys know, they like to be on time. But we do have a few other winners that we have here. So first off, we have our photo contest winner. What are people winning, by the way? You get something. Okay, so we have Christy Cadell. Ooh, that is a great photo. Then we have leaderboard first place. We have Deanne. All right. And then leaderboard second place, we have Bob Adams. So fantastic. And I believe that you guys are getting registrations to Marketing Outlook Forum for next year? Did I make that up? You get to see Elizabeth to get your prizes. I made that up. You don't get that. Okay. And then I think someone's going to introduce Martin, maybe? Yes?
It's my pleasure to bring Tony Lyle up to the stage with Tahoe CVB, and Tony's going to introduce Martin and talk about Martin a little bit.
Wow, look at you people. You made it. You're here. Congratulations. From this point forward, you will be known as Marketing Outlook Forum hardcore attendees. Wear that badge of honor with pride. Thank you for the introduction, Kathy. My name is Tony Lyle. I am the CMO at Visit Lake Tahoe, and I'm here today not to present, you'll be pleased to hear. I am here to present the grand finale session that you made it through to. Travelers no longer care about your destination. What an opportunity. And of course, your presenter, Martin Stoll. Now, normally in these situations, either I or Martin would write his bio, and I would read it out. But both of us thought each other was doing that, and needless to say, it has not been done. So you've heard a lot about ChatGPT, so let's turn to some AI. Heath, if you could bring it up, please, on the screen. Please write a short bio for Martin Stoll, CEO of Sparkloft Media, for a conference about the future of tourism marketing.
Martin Stoll is the CEO of Sparkloft Media, a leading digital marketing agency in the tourism industry. With over 20 years of experience in the field, Martin has a deep understanding of how to effectively reach and engage travelers through innovative marketing strategies. He has worked with numerous well-known travel brands, helping them to not only reach their target audience but also to create lasting relationships with them. At the forefront of digital marketing trends, Martin is a frequent speaker at industry events, sharing his insights and expertise on the future of tourism marketing.
Wow. I call that lady Barbara, so thank you, Barbara. Please welcome Martin Stoll.
Thank you. Hello, hello. I too appreciate all of you sticking around for this. And I promise I will make it worth your time, although we're 20 minutes late, which, as Jamie mentioned, very hurtful to me. So one of the things that ChatGPT did not know, I think I'm an okay speaker. She knew that, but what she didn't know is I consider myself the world's most competitive speaker, right? And so why that is relevant is that as this is a conference about data, they will probably send a survey afterwards and they will ask you to rank all the sessions and speakers. My goal for this next 45 minutes to an hour is that you can with confidence say this session was a 5 out of 5. I want to beat Adam Sachs. I compete with him at a lot of conferences. He's very hard to beat. If you, after this presentation, for any reason, don't think this was a 5 out of 5, please see me here and we'll go have a beverage together, some liqueur. I think that's the drink of choice. We will make sure you get the rating for the session right. Also, with you in mind, and many of you might have to rush to the airport, and again, making sure that you really get the most out of the session, I thought I would start with my closing slide and sort of basically tell you the gist of what this is, because I've researched you and observed you over the last days, and I have to say, hurtful for speakers, but some of you have gotten their phones out and looked at stuff or had their laptops. I know attention spans are short, so for your service, I will start with my closing slide and basically show you this is sort of what the takeaways are. So there are 5 things that I hope you can take away from this presentation. I will explain a little bit in the session about how do I arrive there. So one is a trend that we're seeing is over the last 15 years, the rise of social media. Obviously, that's where a lot of marketing dollars and attention has gone. And we are predicting one of the next phases is, it might still be the same platforms, but how things work will be a lot more about entertainment than about the social graph and having brands that have friends and followers and so on. I'm going to talk, of course, a little bit about AI, a slightly different angle than what was mentioned here before, so I hope this is something new. Our prediction is artificial intelligence will have a significant impact on marketing, including destination marketing. I'm going to talk about a trend that we saw emerging last year in some of the research that we do, and we call this passion over place. I have some examples about travelers saying, I really don't care where I go, but there's something that's really important to me, and as long as the destination has it, I'm going to go there. And then one of the things, especially with the sort of, is a recession coming, is it not coming, and so on, that a lot of brands talk about is the importance of loyalty. and how you can build loyalty through community. And I think there's big opportunities for destinations in that space. And then the last one is what we call story instigating. So any good tourism conference, any good marketing conference that you go to, there's going to be somebody who says storytelling, brands have to be storytellers, and it's true. Storytelling is a very powerful tool, but what's even better than you telling the story is being an instigator and getting people to tell your story on your behalf. So we're going to cover that. So with that, it's just one quick slide about sort of why am I standing here and talking about this. So I work for Sparkloft Media. We are a creative agency. We have worked over the last 15 years with 200 plus DMOs around the world. And we look at ourselves sort of sitting at the intersection of sort of technology changes and consumer behavior and try to come up with insights that then inform our creative approach and so on. And so when you look at some of the changes of the last years around technology changes, right, sort of where you have cell phones getting better and better cameras, you have 5G coming, we have connected devices, at home we talk to Alexa and so on, you have the rise of AI, and this enables consumers to do new things, and at the flip side you have consumer behavior, and I think we sometimes sort of forget what we've been through, right, sort of not to be sort of dwell on the past, but if you take yourself back to 2019 and it would tell you that over the next 3 years, you will go through a pandemic, you will go, that brings like airports shut down, all the stuff that we've heard about. In 2020, you go through the murder of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, you go through the wildfires on the West Coast. In 2021, you go through the storm of the Capitol. In 2022, you have a war in Europe. Those are all things that I think none of us could have imagined, and we look at a lot of the forecasts and tourism numbers coming back and so on, but I think our psyche and consumer psyche has really, really changed. So it's not why the numbers might come back, but what we think, what's important to us is very, very different. And you see that in issues like, or topics like, how openly people talk about mental health and wellness and how much of a driver that is. During the pandemic, we've all had sourdough starters and started to make breads. All of us are makers now. We have hobbies that we are turning into a side hustle. All those things influence how what consumers are thinking and looking for, and this is informing some of those trends. So the first one I want to talk about is why entertainment will become more important than social media in the way that we know it. And again, as I try to please my audience, I'm going to show you a lot of videos. So here's the first one. We'll see it plays. And there's a reason why I'm showing you this.
Like my costume?
Yo, that's so cool. How are you doing that?
Got a Nimbus 2000.
Oh, I see.
Mirror.
Wait, is that my longboard?
Oh, Longboardium Leviosa!
Zach, my longboard! Come on, man, get back here! Dude, not cool!
So this is the most viewed TikTok video ever, 2.2 billion views. And it works so great because it incorporates a couple of things that are really changed in sort of in content consumption with TikTok. So it's short, it's entertaining, it has a sound that everybody recognizes, the Harry Potter sound, and it plays also into the Harry Potter theme that, like, instead of having a broomstick, you have sort of the board and so on, and it's intriguing because, like, how does this guy do it, right? Sort of, and so on. So there is, this is sort of the one of the big trends, and I'm gonna use TikTok as an example a lot, but I don't want you to look at this, oh, this is just happening on TikTok. This is sort of TikTok's leading the way and influencing many, many other content platforms. So this is one of the few slides that have a lot of words. Sorry to, to have more on that, but I think there's some really important things to take away to understand how TikTok is working. So how many of you are every day on TikTok here? Okay, not everybody, good. So I'm like, maybe I should move through this faster. But so, one of the things you have to understand is sort of when you look at traditional social media platforms like Facebook or LinkedIn, they're all built on the social graph. I know somebody and they know somebody, and sort of it's 3 degrees of separation and so on, and content comes by what is important in that network. TikTok and sort of the next generation of social platforms will work very differently. The algorithm that determines what content do you see is based on what are you as a user interested in, independent of who posts it, are you connected to them or not, and what's the information in the content that you consume. So how long is the video, what is it about, what's the sound that's being used, what's the theme, what are the hashtags, and so on. So the social graph and social connections become much less meaningful. It's all about the content. So content performance is more important than follower count when it comes to surfacing content on social. Another big trend, and I cannot stress that enough, is how important audio content has become. The pandemic has some of that, has influenced some of that, where in the past we spent a lot of time in an office where we couldn't watch videos with sound on. Now we sit at home, and while we are on a Zoom call muted, we watch TikTok videos or other videos on the side. So audio is a big connector in that. And when you have content with audio, the drop-off rates are much lower. Sort of it stops the scroll if you have audio content. What TikTok does so well is they not only have a huge songs library, but they also play into sound. So this can be scenes from pop culture, movies, somebody recording something. I'll show you some example of that. So don't think about audio just as songs. It is sounds overall. And really important on TikTok, and that's the screenshot you see on the side, is what is trending. TikTok has an amazing dashboard where they show every week what are the songs that are trending, influencers, hashtags. So this was an example of hashtags that are trending, I think, in the fall. And if you produce content that's on trend, it rises to the top. And then the last thing, when you look at TikTok, what is so amazing from a technology perspective, you have your phone. The quality of video content that you produce on that phone is better than some of the stuff what you can do in Adobe Premiere or a professional tool on a desktop computer. All happening on your phone, the filters, the effects, the editing, and so on. And one of the things that people do a lot on TikTok is remixing content, sharing it again, and so on. So the story here is, for this portion is, it's really important to be entertaining, and good content ultimately is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how many followers you have, how many connections you have, it's only good content. So I will illustrate that with an example. So you will be like, why is he showing this video? I promise you there's a reason for it. You will be a little bit disturbed in the beginning.
What would you do if you saw me at the red light and I honked my horn at you and we made eye contact and I said to you, "What's up, baby girl?"
So, very typical TikTok video. But now you can go, somebody posts this guy posts this on TikTok, other people find it interesting, and it starts this trend where people will take this video and then edit it into their own version of it. So this is what it looks like.
What would you do if you saw me at the red light and I honked my horn at you and we made eye contact and I said to you, "What's up, baby girl?" What would you say?
So this is entertaining. We could watch this all day long, right? And the amazing thing is, this was edited on an iPhone or an Android phone, because TikTok has this feature called Duet, or you do a split screen, or do a reaction video where you take existing content and then you react to it, and people that have seen the original content or other reactions to it are like, oh, I want to see more of that, and so on. So here's an example of what a brand did with this video.
What would you do if you saw me at the red light and I honked my horn at you and we made eye contact and I said to you, "What's up, baby girl?" What would you say?
So this was Ryanair. I don't want you to get your phone out and look at Ryanair now. You can do that on the way to the airport. Ryanair is absolutely killing it on TikTok and Instagram. There is no other travel brand that is doing better stuff than them. And it's so on brand, because their whole thing is about, we want to be about cheap. They make so much fun of the customers who complain about that there was no seat pocket, there's no window on that. It's absolutely on brand, and you can watch Ryanair content for hours. So, but do it on the way to the airport. So you see how something starts and then how it evolves. Here's another example. This is a scene from Fast and Furious 8. I think it came out in 2017. I'm going to play a part of it.
Welcome to our new base of operations.
No, seriously, what is this place?
This is heaven.
So if you're a 13-year-old boy, this is heaven, but the sound really what stuck. And then one person randomly on TikTok chose this sound to make this video.
No, seriously, what is this place?
This is heaven.
We learn heaven looks very differently for different people. It's okay. But of course, then you look at sort of more and more people remixing this. So the next video I'm going to play is a destination example, not an official DMO. It's 8 seconds long, so it goes very fast. And you tell me after watching it if you would want to go to that place or not.
No, seriously, what is this place?
This is heaven.
I want to go to Switzerland. This looks pretty appealing. Also, just as a side note, look how long this content piece is compared to the content pieces that you are producing. This is 8 seconds. This is maximum attention span. I cannot watch anything longer. Get to the point, 8 seconds, let's look at it. Here's an example of a brand using the same trend.
No, seriously, what is this place?
This is heaven.
Right, so sound, trend, it's always the same. I think the Switzerland example was a very good one where there's this reveal, I don't know what's coming, and then it opens up, it's the Blue Lake. So there is overall 180,000 videos that have been produced with This is Heaven. Most of them around sort of, not a tourism theme, but like a place people like, right? So you see a lot of Maldives and Hawaii and so on. So as a tourism marketer, you of course have to ask, have you done a, This is Heaven video? Because people searching for looking at one This is Heaven video after the other. So this is, a trend again where entertainment is much more important than this being social. So another quick example of, ASMR, so sounds that give you goosebumps for simplifying it. There is, I can't see the number here, it's like a couple of billion videos that were produced playing off this type of sound. So here's an example. I think this was from Booking. So people searching on TikTok for ASMR videos, and this was not a complicated execution. You could probably do all of that with B-roll. Very simple to produce, super effective to get the point across. Another example, again, coming sort of thinking about TikTok and the trend towards entertaining content. You look at sort of all the themes that if you spend time on Instagram or TikTok that you see, there's a lot of Google Earth stuff at the moment, so it's always like Google Earth, and then it zooms in, zooms in, zooms in, and then it shows you sort of what the place is. Travel hacks, This is Heaven I showed you. So the one video I want to show here is an influencer called Erica who does travel tips and tricks. One of the things that's interesting here is when you look at the video, shows she's breaking the fourth wall, so there's like suddenly being like, hey, here's the talking to the camera. Which from a editing technique is just different than any of the content on how you would do a normal brand video and so on. But I think this is an interesting example.
Hi, it looks like you bumped me from this flight I was supposed to be on. Yeah, we overbooked it. Basically, we sold more tickets than seats on the plane, and to our surprise, everyone showed up. What can be done? We'll try to get you on the next flight in a few hours, but there's nothing else I can do, sorry. She has no idea I follow Erica. Watch this. Actually, I've read the terms. This is called involuntary denied boarding, and in this case, I'm eligible for compensation. Okay, how much money do you want? Well, it depends. When's the next flight you can get me on? It leaves in 3 hours. According to the Department of Transportation, since the next flight you can get me on results in over a 2-hour delay, I'm entitled to 4 times the cost of my one-way fare. I paid $250 for the one-way fare, so that'll be $1,000. Ugh, fine. We'll get you your $1,000 and I'll book you on the next flight. Who taught you this? Erica did. She's a lawyer and reads the fine print, so I don't have to. That's why I follow her.
So this is the content that you're competing with, right? And so when you think about how do you explain your destination and so on, that you have to tell the story in a different way if you want to be successful in this content environment. And then just to show one quick example on this is not about just TikTok, so and how things start. So I'm only going to play one example, but like this is, there was an interview that Lady Gaga did to the Hollywood Reporter, where she talked about something or a movie production, and that's the video in the top left. They got 2.2 million views. Somebody extracted the sound, and then now people are making videos using the same soundbite, right? Sort of the sound is trending. So here's another example of what Ryanair is doing with Lady Gaga's voice sort of in the background.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique.
That's how Ryanair thinks Lady Gaga talking about Ryanair. So to summarize this part, think about when you, from a content marketing perspective, you have to think about sort of, you are in the entertainment business. The content that you produce now has to compete with some of the stuff that I showed you. It has to be trending, it has to be relevant. We see a lot of sort of, there's a lot of proposals out there where somebody's saying, I'm gonna produce 100 TikTok videos for you for $100,000 and I give them to you on a hard drive. It's tricky sort of to make trending content with this model because you don't know what is the trend going to be in September and so on. So it's hard to do it right, but it's worth it because you get, if you have good content, you get so much reach and you get people searching for This Is Heaven, ASMR videos, and so on. So search is really powerful in that. So examples to look at, Ryanair is a really good one. Chipotle does some interesting stuff, and then Kaby Lame is an influencer that does a lot on TikTok as well. Okay, next one is why we think artificial intelligence will take some share from humans. So I'm not going to talk about GPT in detail, but sort of I just wanted to show sort of in real time how fast you get the answers. This was the example where I asked, explain AI to tourism marketers and tourism researchers, including use cases. If I would do this again, I would add as Snoop Dogg, and then you get it as Snoop Dogg. You can also say, explain it as Donald Trump or whoever you want. And it is incredible how fast you get the information. One thing to note is that the free version of ChatGPT stopped being trained on data after 2020. There you have to pay for the newer data. But play around with it. I think you will be blown away how accurate it is. But I don't want to talk about sort of this side of it. I want to talk about the other part of generative AI, so generative artificial intelligence, which is about creating images. So there's also a couple of tools out there. And the one I'm going to show you is Midjourney, where you basically, it's called text to image. So you type in what you want to see an image of. And I used examples that were already out there. So somebody said, give me a photo of a teddy bear sitting on a bench in front of the Statue of Liberty at sunset. And this is what comes back 30 seconds later, right? So it didn't get the Statue of Liberty right, but overall, for free in 30 seconds, I would say this is pretty good. Another example is, they found is little brown skinned boy with curly hair and little girl with tan skin and freckles sitting on a swing holding hands, 1970s clothing, children playing on the playground, sunny day, 70mm film grain, and you get this back. Pretty good. So, of course, there is a lot of controversy when you say, like, when you say, for example, little brown-skinned boy, sort of this comes back because the AI has been trained in a certain way. What is about bias in that? When I was doing this presentation, I have a 16-year-old daughter who likes soccer, and sort of I was doing this, and I entered as a prompt, grumpy teenager doing homework who likes to play soccer, and I get back 4 images of boys, right? And my daughter is like, where is sort of, we are very rah in Portland, so why is the AI assuming that only boys play soccer and so on? So the bias and how the algorithm is trained is a huge controversy. But it's only, what we're looking at the moment is only tip of the iceberg. So Facebook already has a tool called Make a Video, but it's in closed beta, where it's basically text to video. So you enter something, it creates a video for you. Google announced a new tool this week. Microsoft announced a tool. And all those tools by the really big tech companies are better than ChatGPT. They just were afraid to release it because when they dabbled around it before, they got all kinds of trouble for the algorithm being biased. But now sort of the genie is out of the bottle, and it's coming. So there will be a lot more of this. So this is an example of the just to show you the amount of tools only for generative AI, right? So generative artificial intelligence, and you look at some of the examples, it's like text to image, but then you go further down and you have like text to NFT, you have brain to text, right? Sort of there is AI where it can measure what you're thinking and supposedly turn it into text and so on. So the reason why I think this is important from a tourism marketing perspective. I don't know if you remember when GoPro came out in 2011. One of the first videos that GoPro that registered with me was a guy skiing down the mountain, going over a cliff, and you think like, huh, he's gonna die. And then it turns out he has a parachute. I don't know if you remember this. So I watched the video again like last week or so, and he goes over the cliff a minute in, and thinking with my 2023 brain, like, can you please go over the cliff already? I don't have a minute to wait. Like, let's get on with it. But back then, this was unbelievable, like, 1080 quality, 1080K quality of somebody skiing going over a cliff. Today, everybody has that kind of footage. It's table stakes. If you want to make good content, you need to have the production quality, and then you still need to tell a good story. So I think AI is going to be the same. It's not about whether you are going to use AI to write copy for newsletters or create images and so on. Everybody's going to do it, and the amount of content that's out there and that's good content will rise, and so you have to figure out how you rise with it, and probably you will have to use AI for some of this. So just to close out this section, this beautiful image, which I did not make, this was submitted to an art fair in the digital art category in Denver, and wouldn't you know it, it won first prize. People up in arms, because now the art part of it is how good can you write the prompt. This will also require completely new skills where you don't need to know Photoshop anymore. You need to be able to describe in detail so that the AI makes a pretty picture out of it, right? So, what you need to think about, AI can be wrong, it can be biased. Every prompt that's going to be put in generates the same, the same response. There's issues around intellectual property and infringement. There's questions on who gives the prompts, but overall, our prediction is we're getting into this sort of attention recession because we cannot keep up with all the content that's out there and the amount of content, because it's so, the teddy bear on the Statue of Liberty, again, took less than 30 seconds to make, and I can post it, right? So there will be more and more content out there that competes for limited attention. So here's what you should be doing. Take ChatGPT, and DALL-E is one of the image programs I showed you, Midjourney for a spin. I think just go and enter, write a destination plan. You will be shocked how good these tools are. That doesn't mean that your job is in danger, but it's a new thing that you have to sort of integrate in your work. And then remember, it's only the beginning. This is really, really like, not even the first inning of a baseball game. So the next thing I want to talk about is passion over place. So this, I think, is a really, really interesting one, and sort of hear me out on this one, because you might not believe me, and I will show you the examples. So we saw this trend popping up. So we do a lot of social sentiment analysis. It's sort of where we get a lot of our insights. So the way this works is we have, of course, an AI tool that sucks in most of the public data from social media, and you can train the algorithm to look for certain signals. And then we look for signals that are relevant for travel and tourism, and you can see how they change over time. So what we saw popping up last year, and as the reason that when we dug deeper is, as I said earlier, the pandemic has changed a lot of our thinking and what's important to us. Before the pandemic, when we talk about community, it was defined by where we live, but now we have more, after the pandemic, we are more free to roam. We picked up new hobbies. We connect with people over Zoom who might not live in the same community. And one of the things that also happened is it's a lot about me today, right? Sort of one of the things that the consumers have changed is more about personalization and carpe diem, and who knows when the world's going to end. I want to get the most out of my life and so on. And people have discovered new hobbies, they have new passions, and they're following those passions. So travel is impacted by what passions we have and what passions we have discovered. And so I show you here sort of 3 screenshots. So example from sort of, this was last July, just one example, anecdotally, somebody saying, am I afraid getting COVID? Yes, but I'm planning to go road tripping to do my 9th concert. Do I care where I go? No, I just want to go to a concert. I will go to the destination where the concert is happening. Some people, New York Times article, traveling for specific tattoo artists. Doesn't matter where I go as long as the tattoo artist is there. And then I know all of you are passionate about research. You might not have looked at Pinterest as a resource for trends. They have an amazing section called Pinterest Predicts. Some of it a little bit wacky, but overall, from a consumer insights perspective, super interesting. One of the trends that they predicted or predict for 2023 is this: people will celebrate more, find more reasons to celebrate, and that how it connects to travel is let's make a trip out of it, right? So this is not where do we go on spring break, we go to the beach, but like somebody has, and then all kinds of reasons, you broke up with somebody, let's go on a trip, like sort of, whatever it is. So let me show you some examples. You look at Airbnb. Airbnb came out with new categories, and sort of, if you haven't looked at Airbnb a while, you might have missed it. But look at the top line where you can pick now categories. You can go and tell Airbnb, the website, show me Airbnbs that have a grand piano. And then, if you like a house with a grand piano, you will go where that house is. The destination is not as important as it having a grand piano. And it's like they have crazy categories, right? So it's choosing passion over place. Another example, and I was so glad that I'm speaking today and not yesterday, because this came out yesterday. It is the latest commercial from Booking.com. And I'll just play it, and you tell me which destination they're talking about.
I'm going to somewhere, anywhere, a beach house, a tree house. Honestly, I don't care.
I'm going somewhere, anywhere, I don't care, as long as I'm going, right? So I think this is interesting from a DMO perspective because it opens up new opportunities for leaning into people's passions and connecting it to your destination and having people consider your destination that might not have looked at before. And they might not be interested in your destination per se. They're interested in something that they can fulfill their passion in their destination. So the questions that I think DMOs should ask themselves is sort of what are the passions that your DMO can support? And this does not necessarily mean, oh, we have a mountain bike trail and this is why we should be into mountain biking, right? Sort of, yes, that can be one, but it goes much further than that. Who are your local passion champions? So I think the tattoo example that I showed, the screenshot that I showed us earlier, do you have people in your community who are really renowned for the craft that they have and they get people to come visit because of that? And how do you integrate that into your marketing plan? And should passions be part of destination development? So one thing that I'll quickly mention it is when you look at the brand, so Airbnb is an interesting one, but how many have heard of the Wrexham Football Club? Oh, see, a surprising number. So for those who don't know, it's a 5th-tier team in Wales, correct me if I get this wrong, in the UK, and Ryan Reynolds bought that team, I think it was in 2021, and Hulu made a show about it. And last weekend, New York Times had an article how tourism to Wrexham is up because people see it on Hulu and Ryan Reynolds is involved, and so we want to go there, and you can't get a hotel room, and the pub is full, and so on. So this, again, is like, do people care about the destination? No, they care about what they have seen on TV or a celebrity being involved. So if you have a local football club, soccer club that is struggling, see if Ryan Reynolds can come in. It will bump your occupancy in ADR. The other thing that I think strategically is interesting is the impact of Netflix, for example, on destinations. So we have some clients who are working with Netflix on signing partnership agreements to work the destination into Netflix shows where both parties have a say in sort of, can come with ideas and so on. I think more and more DMOs will realize what the power is of that entertainment space and try to work the destination in. People want to see it on TV, and then they want to go there. So that's passion over place. The next one I want to talk about is community equals loyalty. So give you 2 examples. So this is a beautiful Lego botanical garden that Lego has put together, and we might think, good on you, Lego, for building, coming up with this set. But it wasn't Lego who came up with it. It was, it's hard to read here, Iguana7, so the name is on top, who found 10,000 supporters for this project. You might think, like, what is this about? So Lego has this program, which is called Lego Ideas. And if you are passionate about Lego and you like to build new stuff, you can come up with an idea and you could say, I want to build the JW Marriott in Houston as a Lego set, and you build it and you submit it to the community, and then people can vote on it. And there is this process where Lego says, if you have a great idea, you can submit it, and then you have 60 days to get 100 people saying the JW Marriott is a great idea. And when you get that, then you have another 12 months and you get to 1,000 supporters, and ultimately you get 10,000 supporters to basically support your idea. And then there is an expert review, and Lego might turn this into an actual Lego set, for which you then would get 2% of royalty if you succeed in it. But when you look at sort of how Lego talks about it, it's an incredibly difficult journey. It will take many years. You need to persevere in it. And they have basically outsourced their some of their product development to their community. And if you have people who then champion the different projects, if I get 10,000 people to support my botanical garden, the chances that people will buy it is pretty high, right? So it reduces the risk, it creates stickiness for the brand. Another example is Harley. People super passionate about the brand. What you might not know is that there is also a community for Harley owners where you pay to be part of this community, to be connected with other people who ride Harleys, who are into the Harley lifestyle, and so on. That is, again, sort of where the loyalty comes from, because people are not only connecting with the brand, but connecting with other people who are passionate about the brand. So in tourism, it's a little bit harder to find examples, and sort of this is, I'm not saying this is the perfect example, but just to show you where this pops up. So I picked Arizona, so you have on the left side the Arizona Office of Tourism Instagram, which is really well done. But you also have sort of grassroots, what usually starts as a grassroots, somebody who's passionate about a place, and then it grows, and then before you know it, they're a mini media company. And it's interesting to look at those side by side, because the content is very different, but you look at the engagement, the community, and involving locals and having them talk about, this is the place we live in, this is the place we love, here are the best patios to go to, and so on, which you would not find probably the best patios on the official Arizona Office of Tourism website. Maybe you do. But like overall, it goes into very, very niche topics that if you come as a traveler, you find it super interesting, and it's impossible for a DMO to produce content themselves at scale. You need to outsource that to a loyal community. So you should think about sort of diving into your communities, and I think a lot of DMOs, coming through the pandemic and even before that on the over-tourism discussion, have really made great efforts connecting with sort of the local residents and so on, and leaning into that. But if you really want to do this right, this is a lot of brands where they make a mistake when they try to build a community or get into it. It's not about you. It's not about your brand message. It's not about your product. So you basically, you can't try and force your opinion on that. Reddit and Discord are 2 emerging social channels that are really good to listening to the community, especially Reddit. So you should go and look for your local community or for your city. What are people saying on Reddit about it? There is a lot of good nuggets there. And then one of the things we also like to talk about with DMOs who we work with, to like, who's your most loyal customer, right? Sort of, or who's your biggest brand advocate? If you have a crisis, whether it's a political crisis in your region or a disaster or whatever, who are the people who will come to your help and say, no, sort of, it's not sort of what everybody is saying, there's still, good things to do, and so on, because others speaking on your behalf will carry way more weight than any press release that you can do or anything they could put in a website. So you should know who are for Lake Tahoe, the 100 people who are most passionate and most loyal to Lake Tahoe, and maybe you should buy them a liqueur. So the last thing I want to talk about is story instigating versus storytelling. So is this a real photo, or did I ask AI to make it? It's a real photo. But I took it from Unsplash because I didn't have the money to buy a photo, so there's still great free content out there that's not AI. In the future, I'll create it by AI. So everybody knows the importance on storytelling, right? Sort of we are, as humans, we have been, when we lived in caves and we couldn't write stuff down, we passed wisdom from generation to generation. We do this through storytelling, and one of the things that's important is sort of when you look at really true storytelling, a good story sort of follows what's called the hero's journey. So you have the hero of the story, and he lives or she lives a happy life and is succeeding. And then there comes a danger, and first it's looking good, and then there's a catalytic event, and the hero is struggling, and you're like, oh, how is this gonna end? And then the hero perseveres and emerges victorious. And you can look at any Fast and Furious film, or like almost every, like you look at books and so on, they follow this pattern. So part of the struggle is what makes a story a good story, right? If it's like, hero comes, hero wins, over, like where's the fun in that? And that makes it hard from a brand perspective to tell the stories, because we don't want struggle to sort of be connected with our brand. But I want to show you some examples on what this looks like out in the wild. Has anybody, this is a little bit older, does anybody remember this? I know Katie remembers it. So this is the old carpet at the Portland International Airport, so I come from Portland. And it used to be a thing before they ripped out the carpet, which was heartbreaking. But there used to be this thing where when you go to the airport in Portland and you fly out or you pick somebody up, you would take a photo of your feet and you post them on Instagram and you say why you're there. It sounds bizarre, but it's true. That's what we do in Portland, I tell you. And the reason why it's interesting is you look at the photos of the feet, and people would say, I'm at the airport, I'm excited, I'm going on my honeymoon with my new spouse. Photo of the feet. I'm at the airport with my kids, and I'm picking up my husband, who's coming home after 6 months of deployment in Afghanistan. I'm at the airport, and I'm going to see my in-laws for the first time. I'm at the airport, and I'm going on a business trip. I'm trying to close a really big sales deal, and so on. So like a lot of these photos were not photos of feet, but they were really a story where you could see more about the people and you could hear more about it. And there is thousands and thousands of photos of this ugly carpet with the feet and the story behind it. And it all happened naturally. There was nobody, it's not the Portland airport who said, let's take photos of our feet. So this is sort of the carpet instigating the stories about why are you here, what are you dealing with, and so on. So another example, so most of you know REI, right? Sort of the outdoor retailer. And a couple of years ago, REI made the decision to not open on Black Friday, which in the retail business is unheard of because that's where you make most of the money. And the REI said, no, sort of we're not going to do this madness of opening up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. We will basically give our associates the day off, and we asked them to opt outside. That was the rallying cry. So we asked them to go outside, and you, dear consumers, you can do the same. Post your stories about what you're doing while you opt outside. And so you look on Instagram, there is now 18 million photos with the hashtag #optoutside. Many of them having a really good story about, I opted outside, I put on my touring skis, I went up the mountain, I had this view, and so on. So REI basically, instigating those stories that were very closely connected to the brand. And when you look at sort of the people who are really outdoorsy people, they know sort of REI calls this like, REI has, on their website, they have 3 levels of fun. Level 1 fun is it's fun while you do it and then it's over. Level 2 fun is it's not fun while you do it, but you're glad you did it afterwards. And level 3 fun is it's not fun while you do it, it's not fun afterwards. So level 2 fun people post opt outside and then say, I went for a really long run, it was hard, but I'm glad I did it. I went, skiing, mountain biking, or whatever. So level 2 fun makes a great story. You know, you just need to connect it to your brand. So examples of storytelling in the wild, and again, sort of like follow the concept. I'm not saying these are all perfect stories, but like you see where this is going. So how many of you have Spotify? Did you all get a Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year, right? So Spotify sends you an email and says, Martin, here are all the songs that you listen to, the genres, what did you play the most, you know, they give you a category for it. And then they say, go share it. Like, this is very important. Like now, when sort of I'm surrounded by millennials and Gen Z, everybody posted their Spotify Wrapped on the Slack channel, endless conversations about it. People not realizing that, like, from a data privacy perspective, it's scary to know what Spotify knows about you if you listen to, you know, a lot of children's songs. You probably have, you know, children at a certain age at home. What time of the day do you listen to it? Can conclude, are you commuting or, you know, what you're doing and so on. People don't care. It's like, let's share sort of, here's my Spotify personality and so on. So again, is it a story? It's getting there. I think Spotify is super, super clever from a marketing perspective, instigating people sharing sort of their Spotify story of the last year. 2 other examples. One is from Strava, which is a fitness app. Those are not my screenshots. I did not conquer 226,000 feet in elevation change on 343 active days. Same concept, where you basically, Strava gives you the year in review. And of course, because it's all about me, I will post it on social. I will brag about it. I will compare it. There's a story behind those 343 days that I worked out and the 6,000 miles that I ran or biked and so on. Or Delta Airlines, again, not my screenshot. Delta Airlines sends you, a bragging tile that you can share where you can see how many new places did you go to, which aircraft type did you fly. This screenshot here, again, from a privacy perspective, interesting, spend $600,000 on their credit card. Interesting from a household income perspective, because they could correlate to 600,000 miles. But again, sort of sharing on social, telling the story, how many new places did you go to, how much did you fly, and of course, how many times did you get upgraded. So an example that I think is very good as story integrating, and it relates to the brand, is a board game called We Are Not Really Strangers. Has anybody played that? Okay, so Valentine's Day is coming up. They have like a couples edition if you want to be get your spouse or partner in a much deeper way. So the way this works is you get a set of cards. There's 3 levels, and they're asking questions that I would say can be pretty deep. How are you really? Sort of that's like level 1 question. It goes, there's much more complex questions. But what's really interesting is when you look at what they do on social media. So here's a screenshot, sort of this is what their Instagram look like. This is not super branded. You look at it like, man, this is sort of from a marketing perspective, a little bit rough around the edges, but they're leaning into this. And what's interesting is, sorry that it's a little bit hard to see, but you look at sort of, they post, for example, the screenshot from the Notes app, what scares you, and then you can see what's interesting is the engagement they get on the post. So how many people, sort of, you post what scares you? Thousands of people who are willing to go on Instagram and say, this is what scares me, being left alone, my partner leaving me, my children getting hurt, whatever it is. And then the engagement of those posts, right? So where people say, this is what scares me, and other people saying, that scares me too, or saying, you're gonna be okay, and so on. So this is, again, from a story perspective, the hero's journey. It's not clear how it's going to end, but we're rooting for you. This is one of the examples out in the wild. So story instigating, what sort of you should keep in mind there, why the timing I think is good for this is that through the pandemic, we've all become creators, right? Sort of there's so many people who say like, I'm an influencer, or I take great content, or I write books, or whatever. So from a brand perspective, if you seed the prompts, you poke them at the right time to tell the story that aligns with your brand, much more powerful than you as a DMO being out there and trying to hit people over the head why it's great to visit. Let others do some of the work on that and let them tell the story. But remember, what's the hard part is a good story is never straight, right? Sort of there needs to be a struggle, and yes, there can be a victory in the end. And so stories lean into this sort of, it's got to be entertainment, you lean into the passion, And ideally, you have a community that's interested in it. So REI, we are not really strangers, are brands to look at. So this brings us almost to the end. So to summarize, thank you for sticking around that long. So the 5 things, sort of the trends that we are looking at, the examples from TikTok on how social content is changing. It's got to be more entertaining. Showed you the examples from how AI, whether it's visual or text, in a world where we have hyper-personalization, you need to create an email that has 1,000 different versions because you want to be so relevant. You will not do this without the help of artificial intelligence. People choosing places not because they know exactly where they want to go, they just know what they're passionate about, and any place that checks those boxes is one that they will consider. The opportunity to create loyalty by looking at communities, especially your local communities, and using those to attract more people, and then the story instigating, letting others do the telling. So I want to, as I'm still hoping for this 5 out of 5 score, you guys have not forgotten, right? Sort of, don't let Adam Sachs win. This would be like, because he already said he will come back next year. I want to come back next year too and tell Adam, by the way, did you see the scores? So to make sure before you leave that I send you, I think we have a little bit of time for Q&A, but overall, sort of, I send you on your way with the most positive vibes and feeling, because this is what it's all about. I want to show you one last video. You will probably remember this, and you will go like, oh yeah, I remember this video. This was from the October 2020. It led to Fleetwood Mac rising to the #1 on the Billboard chart. It led to cranberry juice being sold out. And if anybody says, I don't know if this TikTok has any influence or not, I point you to this video as the proof that it's working. I could watch this all day long. That was it. There's a QR code. Take a photo. It has a link to the presentation, some other information. Also, when you watch the Super Bowl, count how many ads now have a QR code on TV. You will be surprised. That was it. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
No question. You guys ask Adam Sachs a lot of questions. This again, it's like slightly concerning. As long as it doesn't impact the rating, I'm okay. But happy to answer any questions there might be.
No hands up? Oh, there's a hand. All right.
Sometimes I hear rumors that TikTok might be banned in the U.S. What do you think about that because of the whole China connection?
Yeah, so China has the balloon to spy on us, so they really don't need TikTok anymore. No, so I didn't want to go into details. I think, on a personal level, I think how TikTok is set up at the moment is deeply concerning for 2 reasons. So one, the data sits on a Chinese server, and 2, TikTok as a Chinese company influences the algorithm, and while there is no proof, but in theory you could think maybe TikTok shows more content that talks about maybe the US shouldn't support the Ukraine as much as they are doing at the moment, and so on. And you show this to a couple of 100 million people in the US. Ultimately, I think it's going to be resolved. There was some news that came out yesterday how TikTok is really working very hard with the administration to set TikTok US up as a separate company in arm's length. And there's too much riding on it for both sides. I think it would not be good politics to ban TikTok, like India has banned it, for example. There's too many people on TikTok in the US to be like, what are you guys doing? And at the same time, TikTok knows they have to do something. So I think it's concerning, but I also think it's going to be worked out.
No other questions?
Should I play the video again? No.
Martin, thank you so much.